Whew. Another week, another couple slew of injuries. This week, I will be diving into Odell Beckham Jr. of the Cleveland Browns. Before we start though, go ahead and subscribe if you like my channel. I come out every Monday with a video about someone's new injury and what their rehab process is about. And again, appreciate all the likes, even the dislikes, but yeah. So let's take a minute here and watch a little video clip of said injury. So as you can see, after an interception thrown, Odell's just doing the right thing as a receiver, chasing down the play. If y'all also say, I saw last night DK Metcalf chase down the play. That dude is a monster. Anyway, back to Odell here. So when he chased after the play, he took a really awkward step. And as you see, he kind of planted, twisted a little bit, and then his knee gave out on him. So in a typical ACL tear, especially a non-contact ACL tear, that plant and then twist creates a shear force on the knee that then tears the ACL. The ACL, what it does, its main function is to prevent any kind of translation of the knee. So, and especially a translation like this, so your tibia going forward. But that's neither here nor there. You guys aren't here for that. With that shear, it tears the ACL, and then of course most of you guys know that it takes a very long time to come back. So I think this morning Odell confirmed with Josina Anderson that he does indeed have a torn ACL, and what that means is in the next subsequent days, surgery will, he'll undergo surgery and then start a very lengthy rehab. So there's a lot of factors that go into surgery in terms of what can be done there. Obviously, they're going to repair his ACL, but they're going to decide whether to do like a quad graft, a patella tendon graft, or a hamstring graft. Those are the main three that I've seen as a PT in clinic. And what they do is they just take a section of your tendon from your quad, your hamstring, or your patella tendon, which is right underneath your kneecap, that tendon there. But they take that and then using anchors, they go into where the ACL used to be and then anchor it into the bone. I'll definitely have a link, link in the description below for a video with an animated version of how surgery looks. It's pretty cool. Check it out, and it also will make you never want to tear your ACL. So yeah. Also, another factor that they're going to look into is if they need to do anything with his meniscus. If you look back in my Kristaps Porzingis video from last week, I talk about the meniscus. They're basically just two pads in your knee that help with any kind of cushion and just making motion smoother inside the knee. For the most part with ACL injuries, sometimes they're roughed up a little bit, sometimes they're torn, and Odell's been playing football for forever, so I personally think he's already had a little rough of a meniscus in there, and they'll decide if they need to clean it out or if they need to stitch it up and repair it, and all that does is prolong how long he has to be off of his leg after surgery in terms of his non-weight bearing status. Rehab can start as quick as the day after. I've seen really fresh ACLs. Some doctors prefer him to start a little bit later, so it kind of just depends on his surgeon. He'll be on crutches for 4 to 6 weeks and in the brace for probably just as long. And again, that all depends on his meniscus and if they're cleaning it out or if they're stitching it up. So of course, physical rehab is going to take him about 9 to 12 months. That's going to put him probably mid-season again next year. Just hoping that we don't have any more delays or anything in terms of just COVID stuff. But yeah, he should be back mid-year next year. But don't expect, 100% Odell or like the Odell that you know until maybe the year after. Typically with ACLs, I see that, it just takes a little bit longer for them to get back in the groove of things, to get back up to speed. The last receiver that I can recall off the top of my head was Allen Robinson. He tore his ACL, I think, 3 years ago or so. And it took him another year after he came back to kind of really get into it. So, physically Odell will be fine, but I really wanted to touch on the mental aspect of rehab. An ACL tear, an ACL surgery for someone who, lives and breathes football is very devastating. I've had patients who come and tell me that, they just want to be done. They don't want to play anymore. And that, this ACL is the worst thing that can happen to them. And in a sense, it kind of is, but, it's a lot of mental rehab as well. And, as a physical therapist, yes, I definitely work with physical rehab, but in a sense, I like to be there for my patients, for their mind state as well. And in a day where mental health has almost become, the forefront of what we need for our players, it's very important that, Odell really gets his mind in the right place. And I'm hoping he surrounds himself with the right people, the right doctors, the right therapists that will guide him towards, the right way to do rehab. I know that the physical part of it is hard, but I tell a lot of patients that honestly, it's probably more, mental rehab than physical rehab, because the physical stuff will come. Odell will be back, but how much he wants to be back really plays a huge part in this. So mental rehab is almost your number one. So for those out there dealing with ACL rehab or any major surgery rehab, hang in there. You'll be back. And it's never good to do rehab in a bad place. So again, like I said earlier, I'm gonna just put in the description a link to an animated ACL surgery for you guys to check out. If you guys have any questions for me, you can leave it in the comments here, or you can go to my Twitter. It's @__Matt Win. It's WIN. Just feel free to shoot me a DM or something. I'm pretty open to questions about his rehab, his surgery, your rehab, if you have any questions. And so, just letting you guys know that I'll be here every week with videos. So keep checking it out.